All right, everyone. So Kevin Nash had some high praise for Triple H. Here's what he said on his podcast. The Triple H era, I'm so glad because last week we had the conversation, and sometimes I feel like such a homer. So I just kind of gave Endeavor the credit. I just don't want to sound like I'm just blowing my buddy every chance I get. So it was so nice for Michael Cole to come out and say that we're now in the Triple H era. I'm like, you're fucking damn right. We are. I can say it. Fucking suck my cock. It's the Paul Levesque era. I think that's the way they covered it. It's the Triple H era because people will work for him. People will through fucking walls for him. He gets it. Okay. So I think everything he's saying here is right. This is the Triple H era, and I think that's an important distinction to make because I think the wrestlers, the talent in the locker room does love him. And I think Triple H has this ability now because he was under Vince, right, running the show as well. He has this ability now to see it from both angles. So he sees it from kind of the managerial perspective, and he also can see it from the wrestler's perspective because he used to be a wrestler. So he can get both sides. And I also think there's a level of respect that he gets. Like, let's say they hired somebody from outside the company to come run creative. If they had never wrestled before, people wouldn't give much respect. They'd say, why do I respect this guy? What has he done in the business for him to tell me what to do? Or why should I trust that he has the right, you know, motives or ideas? Why should I trust all of that? I think that's a pretty fair point, right? I think that's a pretty fair point. With Triple H, he's one of the greatest to ever do it. So you get that aspect of it, and you had already seen him for a few years doing the job. And so I think now that he's the one actually running the show fully, I think they basically are all in on what he's trying to do. And I think he understands how to deal with talent, how to make sure you're getting guys over, how to make sure you're, you know, keeping everybody in the locker room happy because that's a lot of the job. It's not just let's put together the best storylines. It's also how do we put together the best storylines while also making sure that our talent is happy with what they're doing because you're always going to have somebody who's unhappy with how something is going. So if that's the case, you got to figure out a way to keep the story going to make sure the right story is being told while also making sure that they see the path and your vision for them. Because if they don't think that you have a good vision for them, they're going to be gone. They're going to leave and you're not going to see them again. But this is the Triple H era of wrestling. And I think that's a really, really good way to put it. We'll see what the next few years looks like because, you know, you always got to remember that this beginning has been great. And when they hit Netflix and they keep going, I cannot wait to see, where all that goes. But at the end of the day, long term longevity is what's going to determine what people look back on as the Triple H era. So he's got to keep this thing going. And I think he could do it, but he's got to make sure. So thank you all for watching.